You have no right to be here. Evelyn Thorne shrieked. Her voice a grating shard of glass against the peaceful morning air. She stood on my pristine dock. A small, furious dictator in a too-tight tennis skirt, clutching a sheaf of papers like a scepter. The sun, just peeking over the eastern pines, cast a golden glow on the placid lake. A stark contrast to the ugly scene unfolding. This is HOA property. You're trespassing. I will have you removed. I swear to God I will. My chest tightened. A familiar knot of frustration and a blossoming anger I had tried so hard to suppress. How could one person's entitlement be so vast? So blinding. I watched a dragonfly dip and dance over the water. A small, beautiful distraction. A slow breath. A conscious effort to stay calm. Mrs. Thorne. We've been over this. I said. My voice low. A deliberate anchor against her storm. The judge's ruling is clear. The deed is clear. This property is mine. Evelyn scoffed. A sound both sharp and hollow. A mistake. A clerical error. The lake is communal. The dock is for everyone. Your cabin is a blight on our community's aesthetic. It's an eyesore. An affront to everything we stand for. She jabbed a finger at my cabin. A cozy log structure that had been in my family for generations. I felt my jaw clench. This wasn't about a cabin or a dock. This was about power. And she wanted to see me. John Carter. A man who had chosen a life of quiet solitude. Crushed under the heel of her authority. A wave of exhaustion washed over me. A weariness so deep I felt it in my bones. I sighed. A sound that carried the weight of 1,000 petty grievances. This had been going on for a year. A relentless campaign of harassment. Anonymous complaints. And passive-aggressive emails. She had tried everything. From finding me for an unapproved shade of green on my porch swing to sending landscapers to tear out my wildflower garden because it wasn't curated. What she didn't know. What she couldn't possibly fathom in her self-absorbed little world. Was that I was ready for her. My attorney, Mark, had been working tirelessly. His worn leather briefcase, a silent witness to 1,000 courtroom battles, held the truth. A truth that would not only prove my ownership of the cabin but also expose a hidden history that would shake her little kingdom to its foundations. It began, as all things do, with a quiet conversation. A week ago, an old man named Silas had come by. A retired local historian. He'd seen Evelyn's latest fit and recognized the ugly pattern. They've been after that property for years, he'd said. His voice a low rumble. Weathered like an old stone wall. The Thorne family. They wanted that prime real estate. They tried to buy your grandfather out decades ago. He wouldn't sell. And when he passed, the records got, well, let's just say a lot of old records got lost around then. He had then handed me a tattered, coffee-stained map from the 1920s. A relic from the county's first land survey. It wasn't a legal document on its own. But it was a breadcrumb. A crucial, golden breadcrumb. The truth was an emotional tidal wave. As Mark and I had dug deeper, following Silas's lead, we found it. A forgotten box in the county clerk's dusty basement. Filled with handwritten deeds and land survey charts. The original owner of the entire tract of land, from the hill to the waterline, was my great-great-grandfather. The lake wasn't a communal amenity. It was an artificial lake. A quarry dug by my family a century ago. It was, in fact, on my land. And the original deed, signed and stamped, proved it. The dock wasn't HOA property. It was part of the original, undivided plot, built by my grandfather. A simple, forgotten piece of paper. The sheer audacity of it all. To claim what was never theirs. To try and erase history for their own selfish gain. My blood ran hot with it. A righteous fury that was so much more powerful than Evelyn's shrill rage. Now, standing on my dock, with the gentle lapping of my lake at the pilings, I felt a calm I hadn't known in months. "Mark. If you would," I said. A small smile playing on my lips. My attorney, a man of few words and 1,000 legal victories, simply nodded. He unclasped his briefcase. The soft click echoing in the sudden silence. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "What is this? More of your flimsy excuses. The judge will laugh at you. Just like everyone else does." Her cackle was brittle, like dry leaves crunching underfoot. But this was no time for laughter. This was the moment of reckoning. Mark pulled out a single document. A certified copy of the original deed. He unfolded it. The paper crackling. A sound so small yet so impactful. "The plaintiff is incorrect in her assertion," Mark said, his voice clear and unwavering. "This is not a clerical error. This is a matter of historical fact. This deed, dating back to 1923, confirms that the property known as Lot 7 is a singular, undivided tract, which includes the entire lake, the dock, and the surrounding land. The HOA's claim to the lake is baseless." Evelyn went rigid. Her face, a moment ago a mask of smug superiority, went utterly, spectacularly blank. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She looked at the paper, then at me, her eyes wide with a dawning horror. It was as if I had just declared that the sky was purple. Was it possible she had no idea? That she truly believed her own narrative? The realization hit me then. This wasn't just about me. This was about a lie she had been telling herself and everyone else for years. The HOA. The rules. The regulations. They were built on a foundation of sand. On a lie about who owned what. The air crackled with her silent unraveling. She turned to the lawyer she'd brought. A young man who looked deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. He just shrugged. His posture saying what he couldn't, "I told you so." The final blow came an hour later. In the hallowed, wood-paneled courtroom. The judge, a stoic woman with a kind but no-nonsense gaze, looked down from her bench. "I have reviewed the evidence presented by the defense," she said, her voice a low, steady hum. "The historical deed is valid and has been authenticated. The plaintiff, as head of the HOA, has no legal claim to the properties she asserts. Furthermore, the court has found that the HOA's charter, which claims ownership of the lake and dock, is in direct conflict with this original land grant and is, therefore, invalid. Mr. Carter is the sole and legal owner of Lot 7, which includes the lake and the dock." A gavel strike. A finality that resonated in my chest. A deep, long-held breath escaped me. It was over. A quiet, yet monumental victory. I glanced over at Evelyn. She was no longer the screaming tyrant from my dock. She was a statue. Gray and lifeless. Her perfectly manicured hands trembled slightly, clutching a purse as if it were the only thing holding her together. The bitter end. She had not only failed to take what wasn't hers, but her own actions had confirmed, in a court of law, that I owned the very thing she coveted most. The lake. The dock. The very water that gave life to this community. All mine. The bitter irony was thick in the air. She had spent a year trying to destroy my peace. And in doing so, she had destroyed her own. I returned to my cabin that afternoon. The air smelled of pine and damp earth. I walked out onto the dock. The one she said was a communal blight. And felt the warm wood under my bare feet. The surface of the lake was a mirror, reflecting a perfect blue sky. This wasn't just a win. It was vindication. It was a reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always rise. And that some things the land, the water, and a person's quiet dignity cannot be stolen by noise and entitlement. What is right and what is wrong? Is it right to stand up for what is yours, even if it disrupts the supposed peace of others? Or is it wrong to let a bully win just to avoid a fight? I know what I believe. I wonder. What about you?